What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross. I like games, and today we're looking at some new Dragon Ball Super leader cards. Yes, we've been ramping up the Transformers TCG coverage in advance of its release, but we can't just ignore Dragon Ball. That'd be weird and wrong and frankly unfair. So we do know the leaders now that are coming in draft box free, and one of them seems to have captured people's attention more than any other. It's Krillin. We've been waiting a while for a Krillin leader card, and the one we've got is actually good. So it's an Awakening leader, not a Wish leader, and on the front here, 10,000 power as to be expected. When it attacks the leader, you may choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do so, draw one card. So it's a self-awakening leader. It gets you closer to actually awakening, but it's also giving you quite the card advantage. You get a card from your life and you draw a card. That's pretty good. Although, to be fair, there is a million different leaders out there that draw cards when they attack, but this one's nice. When your life is at 4 or less, you may awaken, yay. What's different about this, you only actually flip over one energy, whereas most of the leaders, if it's an energy not a draw cards one, you usually flip over two. So that's a little bit less, but the draw here is good and the self-awakening is nice. After awakening, however, it gets really good. When you attack, you draw a card. Again, nothing special about that. That's happened a million times. But then at the end of your turn, you draw a card. It means going into your opponent's turn, that's one more card with which you may be able to combo, or maybe you draw an extra card that you can use to counter one of your opponent's attacks, or whatever. It gives you options going into your opponent's turn, which is absolutely lovely. And then it's got a skill. Activate in the main phase once per turn. Choose a card in your hand, place it in the drop area, and then you get 5,000 power and critical. So now you've basically got a 20,000 crit with really good draw power. Now, admittedly, you should be drawing a card when you attack. Then you should be drawing a card at the end of your turn, but you've got to drop a card in order to gain the extra power and crit. So really, it's not the biggest card advantage ever. You're essentially getting two cards and dropping one, but one of the cards you get is really at the end. So you could just forego the 5,000 power and crit and just have really good draw power. Although, I don't know why you would forego that, but maybe if you were desperate to draw into particular cards, you could. Either way, this is a really good leader, and we've seen shades of this in other cards. So this whole drop a card from your hand, 5,000 power plus crit, is literally the exact same skill that we see on Vile Strike Dark Prince Vegeta, except he doesn't get to draw an extra card, which you do at the end of your turn. So it's just a flat-out better version of that Vegeta, which is really kind of cool. And look, it's impossible to ever know if leaders are going to be good or not. We can see which ones look good, which ones look bad, but new cards are released, metagames change, etc. What I can tell you is, if it's got a better version of an existing skill, that seems like it's at least got a chance of being good. Because it's literally like another leader, but a better version of it. Of course, that Vegeta's seen very little success, so we'll have to wait and see. Either way, I'm a fan of this Krillin. I think this is a really good card. I think it's quite nice, and I like it. The other thing to remember is, firstly, having a crit on a leader is fun. Secondly, with the Super Saiyan 3 ban coming in, one of the things we are thinking might be becoming good is the cell chain, which kind of wrecks your hand and your board, etc. Well, be quite nice to have a bunch of draw power if you're coming across cell chain, don't you think? The other one which has seen a little bit of hype here is the new Goten card. So you got Sun Goten, again it's an awakened leader, not a wish leader, and pre-awakened 10,000 power to be expected. When you attack a leader, draw a card to be expected. The activate main, choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. Okay, so you're getting closer to Awaken while getting a card advantage. Self-Awaken can be good or bad, but as long as you can protect yourself well enough after Awaken, you'll be alright, and you get the card advantage. But you then get to choose up to one yellow extra card from your deck, add it to your hand, and then negate the skill for the duration of the game. So you can't just keep doing this every turn and Awaken really quickly like you can with Krillin, but you can do this once and it gets you an extra card, a yellow extra card, and that's quite nice. Now, the other weird thing is that when your life is at 4 or less, again, you're flipping over 1 energy like we saw with Krillin, so you're not quite getting the advantage you would expect to get, but maybe this is good enough, and you can get some good yellow extra cards here. Maybe you get yourself a Flying Nimbus. Nice for negating an attack and then making sure your opponent can only attack one more time with battle cards. Maybe you grab a Planet Vegeta, a nice little field card that lets you search out some Saiyans and switch all your great apes back to active mode. Maybe you grab yourself a Successor of Hope, so you can search for your Goku's lineage cards. There's a lot of options here, and certainly if you have this leader, turn 1, being able to get that card from your life, giving a slight card advantage, then searching for an extra card sounds good to me. And then, once we awaken, you're up to 15,000 power, which we expect. When it attacks, you draw a card, nothing special there. But at the beginning of your opponent's main phase, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop, and then this card gains 5,000 power, but then negate the skill for the duration of the game. So you drop a card, you gain an extra 5,000 power. But only once, and then it goes for the duration of the game. I'm not 100% sold on Son Goten. I like the skills, but I'm not loving that it's once per game, and I'm not loving the flip over 1 energy. Hey ho. Now, we do also see a Green Sun Goku here, which looks really good, but it's really easy to play around. So pre-awakening, we've got 10,000 power, which is to be expected. When it attacks a leader card, you may choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do, draw a card. So this is really aggressive self-awakening here. It's every turn, assuming you attack a leader card, and you get a card from your life and draw a card, rather than automatically drawing a card like so many other leader cards do. It's going to get you self-awakening pretty quickly. When you do awaken 4 life or less, you get 2 energy active rather than the 1 we've seen on the previous 2 leaders. Then you go up to 15,000 power, to be expected. And if your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, this card's attack cannot be negated. That's really, really nice. It means the attack is going through. So something like a Flying Nimbus here, you're golden, they ain't negating your attack. Whoop whoop. If it attacks, you draw 1 card, you get 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. I like this. This auto's really nice. 20,000 power and drawing a card, I am absolutely down with that. And what really makes it exciting, though it will never work, when this card attacks, if your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, you get Quadruple Strike. For the duration of the turn, you do 4 damage rather than 1. Problem is, the second your opponent sees that you're playing this, they're just not going to put more than 3 cards in play. Very few decks that we see at the moment want more than 3 battle cards in play. It's not that regular that we see this happening. And then, of course, Kami Global Unifier was revealed recently. It's just come out. Well, about to come out. And if your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, you can get rid of all the ones with an energy cost of 4 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO them. Which means that the vast majority of good players are already going to be building and playing their decks to try and avoid running into Kami. And if you're trying to avoid running into Kami, you are inevitably going to also be avoiding running into this. So as much as I think this is fun, I don't think it's actually viable. You can get 20,000 and draw a card. I'm down with that. But I think the whole Quadruple Strike thing, it's just not going to work. Plus, as a bunch of people have pointed out, most of the good green decks at the moment are androids anyway, and if you're playing an android deck, then either play androids or sell. You're probably not going to want this. The other one is Saiyan Power Baby. We start off with a 10,000 power. When you attack a leader, draw a card, all to be expected. The Awaken is 4 or less, and you switch over 2 energy, which is good. Although it's annoying that the 2 better leaders here are flipping over 1 energy and the 2 worse are flipping over 1. But the main, once per turn, choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand, so again, we're self-awakening. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it loses 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. I could get on board with this. Obviously there's a tiny bit of uncertainty here because you don't exactly know what combos your opponent's going to be using, but to be perfectly blunt with you here, you can use this to just screw up your opponent's maths. You can use this to try and make sure that your opponent isn't going to be able to do very much, which is nice. You can stop them getting a KO by reducing the power at the right time. Maybe they've got a combo they can use to get the KO anyway, but again, you count their hand, you see their options, you count their energy. You can stop your opponent getting KOs with this. That, to me, makes it look kind of fun. Once you've awakened, you go up to 15,000 power, obviously. And when you attack, you draw a card, obviously. But once during your turn, you choose one of your battle cards, it loses 15,000 power for the duration of the turn. And if you do so, you choose two of your opponent's battle cards, and they lose 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Well, if you liked taking away 5,000 from one card, you should love taking away 10,000 from two cards. Maybe your opponent's going to be fast enough it won't matter. Maybe they've got big enough cards that it won't matter. But this has got to be worth a test, has it not? There's a disruption deck in there somewhere. As for getting rid of 15,000 power on one of your cards, I mean, you should be able to find ways to make sure that's not particularly effective. Find a battle card which is not planning to attack or which is already attacked. You should be fine, ladies and gentlemen. You should be fine. I like it. The one that really excites me here is still Krillin. I love the plus 5,000 crit. I love the draw engine here. The others, I think, could be kind of fun. There's reasons to use them, but I've got reservations. The Krillin, though, that one excites me. But I want to know what you think about these new leaders, ladies and gentlemen. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but do remember the rule. Be nice. And of course, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel for more Dragon Ball videos and more Transformers videos. And I'll probably stop whacking in some video game videos as well at some point, because that's fun too. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.